So, I'm going to talk about sex today. I'm very excited. That's not a pun, by the way. In the book, The Fantasy Bond by Robert Firestone, he talks about sexual withholding. Sexual withholding refers to holding back natural sexual desire and its expressions, including physical affection, touching, physical attractiveness. I'll start with sexual withholding in women, because usually it's women who wants to be sexual less frequently than men. So in our society, it's man who is held responsible for sexual success and is blamed for sexual failure, which is one of the myths I wanted to clear up later in this video. The author says that some women become rejecting of a man even before making love. They complain of headaches or fatigue, or avoid coordinating bedtimes. During lovemaking, a woman may become critical of the way a man touches her and may imply subtly or not so subtly that he is stupid, inept, or insensitive. Some women become coy when undressing or are ashamed of their bodies. Others will act totally uninterested in being sexual when in fact they are interested. Now let's have a look on the effect of sexual withholding on women. First, women's views about their bodies often prevent them from feeling sexual. Her breasts were too small. Her hips and thighs were too heavy. These negative feelings may be barely conscious, yet a man can generally sense her feelings and stays away. 2. The woman who withholds her love and sexuality ironically complains that her man doesn't love her anymore, or she constantly seeks reassurance of his love. She may become extremely jealous of any interest he shows in another woman. She no longer greets him with enthusiasm and happiness at the end of the day. Third, a woman who becomes withholding needs to hold on to a fantasy to being connected to the man and tends to distort the relationship. For example, many times women who are superior to the man in their lives, both intellectually and in their ability to cope with the world, relates to the man in a passive and dependent mode. I reveal this withholding information in women to help both men and women to understand each other better, but not for some angry man to use these new insights to support their cynicism and hostility toward women. A lot of women are not aware of this themselves too, and men can be withholding and manipulate through weakness too. Here the sexual withholding in men. They may attempt to buy women with gifts, or they may be withdrawn and non-communicative generally, then expect to have a sexual relationship. Others become distrustful or critical of women who are sexually responsive and avoid forming relationships with them. Some men, out of fear, may reject a woman immediately after a close personal relationship. Now let's look at the effect of the sexual withholding on men. Before we do that, there is something very important for us to know. Through his clinical experience, the author points out that in most cases, a man's ability successfully to perform the sex act principally depends on the woman's genuine desire for sex. When a woman consciously or unconsciously denies her sexual wanting, the man is, more often than not, physically affected. Many men who find themselves fantasizing about another woman report considerable guilt. Now let's look at the picture. In the beginning stages of a romance, a woman generally feels very attracted to her partner. Yet later, she may withdraw her sexual responses and lose her enthusiasm. This process bewilders the man. He begins to lose self-confidence, and the sex act starts to feel less natural or spontaneous than it once did. The woman's withholding makes him feel increasingly inadequate and inferior. Men expect that they should feel sexual under all circumstances, and we can see that's not right from the above picture. And also, men are accustomed to blaming themselves for any sexual failure. That's not right neither. Obviously, we can see that how women's sexual withholding affect men. The partner who is sexually withholding maintains control in other areas of the relationship by doling out sex as a manipulation. When a man becomes chronically hungry toward a woman, a man acts weak, becoming more passive and unattractive. His mate, in turn, now has justification for rejecting him. We can see here, withholding is killing the excitement of being with the loved one, the intensity of the feelings, the wanting, and the aliveness. So through withholding, many people effectively commit a slow suicide. Then why we do that? Why we withhold ourselves? Because genuine love makes a person feel open and in a state of vulnerability. When we were children, that's the most vulnerable period of our life. Because of weakness and fear, we resort to the only tactic available, that of not responding, of not expressing what we feel at a given moment, like when mom is in distress or get remarried with a man we dislike. The child's early strategies of holding back from the people who are the most significant, like moms, at a period in life when the child is the most vulnerable, eventually evolve into the major character defense of later life. But what is suppressed within a child, especially anger, doesn't go away. In cases like when encountering a woman's withholding can reawake the suppressed rage from earlier experiences with a withhold mother. Is there anything we can do about it? Yes. It's not easy, but the author points out that, first, it requires a person become aware of his or her typical methods of manipulating the environment through withholding responses. Second, one needs to learn both how to be generous to others and how to accept love and friendship. The third, professional help from therapists. To interfere with one's tendency toward gradual self-destruction and help alter the balance in the direction of life pursuits. For people who want to learn Mandarin, you can watch the Chinese version of this video by click the link popped up on the screen. Go to my Chinese channel. And if you find value in my channel, please subscribe if you haven't and share with your friends. See you next time.